Yeah, so I think we kind of touched on it a bit earlier, like when we were talking about, like the 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 nature of our job, like what we were doing in the band and the situation being on stage in front of thousands of people. I think it's a really normal place to experience anxiety. Like you're gonna go and perform in front of, a lot of different people that you don't know who they are, and it's not a natural thing to do, in terms of everyday life. You don't just talk to thousands of people, so it was something that I had to, learn to adjust. Anxiety for me, I've learned is a feeling that now has a word, and I feel like for generations human beings have felt it and not really even been able to put the finger on what it is, but we overcome it, and certain things in life can change your perspective on them things. And I think for me, like since I've had my daughter and since she was born, like the main thing in my mind is like trying to be a good example to her, like in terms of, I can do things and I can achieve things and I can overcome things and you can do this too. And to let things like, a feeling stop you from doing that after having a child feels like a really small thing. Like I feel like I've had to step up, as a man or just, as a person. And be this example to her that doesn't succumb to these feelings. That's why I'm even doing this interview, like I used to get a lot of anxiety around like having a conversation like this, just in this kind of environment, and I want her to be able to look at me and be like, yo, my dad's doing this, he's the man, he's cool. He's cool. For sure. He enjoyed being in that feeling, and then got to a certain point, I think, where it just became too much, like it just was weighing on me, that feeling of like anticipation and then getting the adrenaline and then the after feeling of that, as a young kid I loved it. Like I loved being on stage and I loved performing. It was like a free space for me to go and be a character, because it was, I was playing a role in some little school performance. It was nothing serious. When it became a thing that had a lot of weight behind it in terms of people watching and stuff, then you're gonna have just the idea of like not being able to just do normal things, like to just go outside and like walk out onto the street, like, because where we lived it was kind of a bit crazy, and there's just people always there like waiting to take a photo and stuff. And obviously thinking about having a child and like raising her in that environment, it was just very claustrophobic for me. I didn't want her to have to be like exposed to that, because she didn't choose it, like it was a choice that I made. So I was like, we need to get out of here so that she can have some chance of like a normal childhood, where there's not cameras flashing enough. Going to too much detail, but there was a lot of politics. People were doing certain things, certain people didn't want to sign contracts, so I knew something was happening. So I just got ahead of the curve. If I'm being honest with you, I was like, I'm just gonna get out of here. I think this is done, and I just seen it, and I completely selfishly wanted to be the first person to go and make my own record. If I'm being completely honest with you, I was like, I'm gonna jump the gun here for the first time. I'm a passive dude, but when it comes to my music and my business, I'm serious about it, and I'm competitive. So I wanted to be the first to go and do my own thing. That was the reason. And then there was obviously underlying issues like within our friendships too. We'd been together every day for 5 years, and we got sick of each other, if we're being completely honest. So we were close, we'd done crazy things with each other, and that nobody else in the world will ever understand or have them experiences that we've shared with each other. And I look back, it's good. We have a really good relationship for Kai. She's the main. I think with her is she shows a lot of signs of like musical intelligence already, so I just love like playing instruments with her and singing with her. Like I'll sing and she sings along, and she can do like good harmonies and stuff already, and she's only 2.5, like, and she harmonizes with me well and like finishes notes, and she can hold them for a long time. I'm like, Disney movies, so we sing a lot of Disney songs together, and sing like You've Got a Friend in Me and stuff 50% of the time. So that time I have with her is so important, because I feel like she's growing up so fast. Like So when I'm with her, I don't work like at all. I just spend a full day with her doing the things that she wants to do, like painting, Play-Doh, this, that, go to the park, go to the theme park, go to the zoo. Like, we just have, she's funny, like she's a bit of a cheeky one, yeah, she likes to have a bit of a joke and stuff, and like laugh a lot. Took from me, like she just has a affinity for words, like she remembers everything. The question was, I knew what happened, and the people involved knew what happened too, and that's all I really cared about. If anybody you know, of a sane mind would look at the situation, I believe that you could respect that. Like, I just didn't want to bring attention to anything, you know. I just wasn't trying to get into a negative back and forth with her, any sort of narrative online where my daughter was going to look back and read that and be able to read into it, and it would just be something that there was no point. I believe I dealt with it in the best way, like in an amicable